Hi, it's me again, back for another live stream. It's just to pass some time. I'm going to be doing this stuff anyway, so I thought, why not share it? There's been a number of days since the last stream, wasn't there? It was about 3 or 4 days, I think. 2 days maybe. So I'll just get the chat up. Just bear with me, guys. Is there F5 on here? No, it's not. That's the brightness. So I'll just put you down there. Just get in the chat. Oh, hi, Retro Game Revival. Hi, Dennis. How are you? Oh, wrong way around. Yeah, so I'll just point you down there a sec. I'm just getting the chart. Just bear. I'll explain what happened with the power last time as well. It was rather amusing. It was egg on my face for sure. It was quite embarrassing in retrospect, but at least I know how to avoid the problem there. Right, let's get the chat up. Hope you're all well. Hope everybody's fine. I have to apologise for the sound quality because I did have someone complain about it on the last video. It's not going to be great because I'm streaming from my phone. It's impromptu stuff. This, you know, I'm not really geared up to do live streaming, but we're doing it nevertheless. Joseph Neal, hi Joseph, and as I said, hi Dennis. Yeah, so I'm going to cover a few things. The first thing is the reason the power kept going off in that last stream. Just want to show you, just for the moment while I've been doing these, I've got a power extension here. So I've been plugging the into that. What I didn't realise is when I'll kind of show you actually. In fact, that plug's not in right. When I plugged it in over there, I plugged in the fire. So you'll note in that last stream, I was like, 10 minutes after starting up, I was like, wow, it's got 30 degrees warmer in here. Yeah, it's no surprise because instead of plugging the extension lead in, I had plugged in the electric fire set on high. So of course the temperature went up in here. I got hotter and my phone got flatter and flatter and flatter as the stream went on. So that is precisely what happened in the last stream. I plugged the fire in. Yeah, I was pretty busy yesterday. This should give you a clue. Yeah, you know, DIY furniture. Yeah, I got a new chair, computer chair for my computer, because with my wife now working from home, we figured we needed an extra chair, and it'd been on my list of things to do at some point. I was hoping to postpone changing the chair for a few months yet, but nevertheless I thought, well, we really need another chair. So I spent, kid you not, about 2 hours yesterday assembling a chair. Oh, it was a right nightmare. I'll add that to the collection. I've got loads of those. You get one of those tools with everything you DIY build. So a couple of things I'll point out that I perhaps have not mentioned on the previous videos, previous streams, and even previous videos for other things. One was when I showed the TF534 there, which was kindly donated by 8-Bit Dreams. He kindly sent me this. This is the power connector there. It's Molex, isn't it? For an Amiga 2000. I'm not sure if it's 3D printed or what, but clearly you can still get these. Sorry, I can see the focus bobbing in a little bit there. So I got some pins for that. It didn't come with any pins, so I got some Molex pins for that. So I can make a lead for my ATX power supply for that at some point. And then Stephen Leary kindly provided this with those Amiga 2000, sorry, Amiga 4000 motherboards there. Again, it's Molex. If anybody knows what kind of Molex pins go into this, because they are going to be pins, aren't they? If I just carefully show you the board, if you look into here, sorry, it might not be very clear. Yeah, it's difficult to get the light at the right angle there. It's kind of shadowed, isn't it? But yeah, you've got like solid pins go into those. Those are like little round, the circular here, these bits. So the bit that would go in is like a solid lump of metal, if that makes sense. You know, if you think of the end of a screwdriver, it's going to be pins like that, male parts. So yeah, I need to source some male parts for that. But thank you to Stephen Leary for providing that. I'll just try and catch the chat a little bit. Retro J K, hello everyone, hi, nice to see you. Spitfire RAF100, hope you're safe and well, thank you. Yeah, I'm fine. The hay fever here, I'm reluctant to call it hay fever. It should be called pollen fever, shouldn't it? The yeah, hay fever over the last few days has been horrendous. My nose was streaming like mad yesterday. So there's something else to show you. Well, we're going to start by doing a battery mod to this. So I've got a CR2032 holder here, and the battery. And a diode. So we'll do that. It's not going to take more than 5 or 10 minutes to do that. Yeah, well, because I was bored yesterday, and I always do this, you can see I've been cleaning up these connectors. This is one of the really crusty ones. It's got a bit of stuff inside the threads there. You know, those, I've just put a bit of vinegar into those two things there, so that needs fishing out. You can might be able to tell, they look a bit green. So I need to clean those out with a brush and some IPA, and you can see that's kind of gone green on the end there. But nevertheless, I spent some time cleaning these up, and I do this with all of these. You know, you can see the back there, it's pristine. It was all green and horrible. Yes, it's dull because the corrosion has eaten it. But if you look at the actual pins themselves, can you see the really shiny gold now? They were awful before. This one is the other one off that board that wasn't quite as bad. And hopefully you can see the difference. You know, if you look at the actual pins, they are gold. These ones you can see are really greeny. And if you look around the back of this one, look at the green here. Awful. But yeah, I will always, as pedantic as it is and as pointless as it is, it's a waste of time really, because you can buy these for a few pounds. I will clean anything up. I've got a box of about 4 or 5 of these now that have come off other boards, and they're all absolutely pristine, and I guarantee if I soldered them on a board they would work. The reason I do that though is it's a bit of AMSR stuff, isn't it? It's relaxing. I can spend literally an hour on each one of those, cleaning them up, making them pristine. They might never ever get used. They might just go into landfill at some point in their future when I'm long gone, you know. But if I come across a board and I haven't got one of those sockets, because you never know, 10, 20 years from now, if I'm still knocking around, you might be able to find them. You might have to salvage a board or something to take one off. And I guess it's just another example of how literally anything can be fixed, despite how bad those were, and they were super unreliable in terms of connectivity. I guarantee now they would be fine. They'll live to see another day. But yeah, it's not good use of my time for sure. An hour to fix something that costs you a few pounds is not really a good thing. Shows if you lol. Yeah, look, the connector pins for LiPo charger cells. They look like the connector pins for LiPo charger cells. Ah, okay, thanks for that, Dennis. Dutch Retro Gamer. I'm fine. Hope you're too. ZX Renew. Hey up, all. Right, so I'll switch the Heiko on, and we'll start by removing a resistor on here. I'm just going to go and get the other board because I've already done the working out which resistor to remove. Hang on a sec. Right, I'm back. So something else to point out here. You can see I've got a label. Can you see that? A label on this one, A, and it stands for A-hole. Yeah. It's been a bit of an A-hole, this board, putting it bluntly. This is the one you saw, I think it was in the last stream, where, what did we do to it? I can't remember now. I think I just put the RAM in there, get some ROM chips and stuff. I put the dongles in the back there, and we came to test it, and the IDE was doing nothing again. It was not accessing the IDE. It wasn't even flashing the LED there. And I tell you, it drove me to despair trying to understand what was going on, and I'm still not 100%. I was hoping to be able to show you a bit more today in relation to that, assuming some chips arrived. But I'll talk about it now, and I could be wrong. I could be wrong here, and I could be making a mistake, but let me just show you. These two chips up here, the 245s, okay? They buffer the data bus access to the, the compact flash card there, the IDE interface. Now, the ones on this board were both swapped out, and they were swapped out with what I was led to believe were direct replacements for the HCT 245s that should be on here, and the BCT 245s. Now, that's the first time I think, and I could be wrong, I have seen a BCT chip somewhere on some board or other, but from my memory, I could never remember ever seeing a BCT chip. And the first thing I thought was, wow, that's a bit strange. BCT. Is that like maybe that manufacturer's equivalent of HCT or something, that they decided to call it BCT instead of HCT? And that isn't the case. I think it does mean something, just like HCT does. I think it's called, like, a HCT chip, I think, is CMOS, whereas a BCT chip is what they call bi-CMOS. And there's also a difference, I forget which it is now. I think a HCT has got TTL compatible inputs, I think, and CMOS compatible outputs. I could be wrong, could have it wrong. I could be completely wrong on that. And I think this one is like TTL and TTL. There's TTL on the inputs, TTL on the outputs, I think. It flips around there, so don't quote me. And I'm not sure if that's the issue. Now, I'll tell you why. If you also remember in that last stream, when we were testing, I forget which board it is now, one of these boards, when you boot without a hard disk, it goes, within about 6 or 7 seconds, it goes straight to the kickstart splash screen, you know, stick a disk in. And I was stumped going, hang on a minute, how does this one seem to have a really short polling time looking for the drive when the other board doesn't? I think it's this one, actually. I think it's this one with these BCT chips. And I think therein lies the answer. I think these BCT chips are not correct. There's some sort of issue on the output when it's floating, i.e. it's maybe pulled a bit further high or a bit further low or something. I think Dennis is posting some comments there. Oh, it's Dave. Yeah, HCT, TTL is CMOS out, BCT is TTL or BTL, both I think. Yeah, anyway, sorry, I'm sidetracking. So this is the board that only waits 6 or 7 seconds and then it goes, yeah, stick a disk in. And I was like, well, how's that? And then the other board, this one that wasn't detecting the drive at all. Something curious about this one, this has got half and half. Because of a prior issue that I identified on this, it's got a BCT chip here and it's got HCT chip here. Now, at that point in time, somebody kindly, and I forget the name, somebody kindly posted the point that you can get an IDE terminator for these. It's a little PCB that's been designed. There's a few players make them. There's a few open source ones that they're on the, you know, GitHub and some of the PCB design websites where they've got community projects. You can just go there. You can have the, you know, choose, you know, the PCBs. It's there. It's open source, and they're only £1 or £2 each or something. Like PCBware do it, and OSH Park have got them on their website. And you can just get your own board and put a little socket on and stick it on. There's a couple of resistors on it, and it tricks the board into realizing there's no drive there, basically. So you get that only 6 seconds, and then it boots from, you know, brings the kickstart screen up, or will boot from floppy. So thinking about that, I thought, well, I wonder how those are working. So I went away and got the like a close-up of the PCB. To bear with me, just take my jumper off, and then I obviously need to discharge myself, because when you're rubbing a woolly jumper on yourself, hang on, you do generate static. So I've just touched the ground point nearby there. Yeah, so I looked at the design of that PCB, and it was proving a bit difficult to work out what was going on. I don't think I've got a picture to show you to hand. I'll post a link to it later so you can have a look yourself. But it looks like the ground pin, which is on one side here, it might be this side here, basically feeds through 2 resistors to 2 of the pins, and I think it's these 2 pins here. And these 2 pins, I've looked at the PCB, the pinouts there for that interface. It looks like it's D0 and D1. And that had me stumped to start with. I'm thinking, why on earth would you put resistors, you know, between ground and D0 and D1? How does that make any sense at all? I was expecting it to be on a control signal, like one of the, there must be a pin there for like show whether the drive's busy, whether it's idle or active or whatever. You know, there's be a couple of pins around there, and I was thinking those would be the ones that you would perhaps put a pull down on or a pull up, depending on what it is, you know, it needs to do. But no, that isn't the case. It does seem to be on D0 and D1. Now, I could be wrong, but I've looked and looked and looked at it until I'm blue in the face. A few different PCBs, and it does look like that. That's how it works. It looks like the grounding, the D0 and D1 pins on the interface here to ground with 4K7 resistors. Now, I didn't realise it was 4K7s because the PCBs, as you'll see when I put the links down below, there's no markings just to show what size resistor. So I tried it myself on one of the boards. I put some 10K resistors, start quite weak, so you're pulling it down quite weak. You know, not a lot of current would be permitted to go through that, just on the underside of the board there to ground, and it didn't make a difference. And I went down to 4K7, that didn't work, and I went as low as 1K, and that didn't work. So that had me even more stumped, because I'm thinking, well, if that's what those boards are doing, how come on this board, where it's got one of each chip, how come it doesn't work at all? And I suspect it's because this BCT chip here is confusing matters. Normally, it might be floating a little more than it is doing now. So even though D0 and D1 are getting pulled low and I have the resistors on the underside, I suspect that this is making some of the other data bits and things there perhaps register as a high when they really shouldn't do. And that might be why it doesn't actually work. So in the meantime, I've ordered one of those little things from Amiga Kit there, little terminator. But I've also ordered some proper HCT chips because the seller, who told me a fib really, I actually asked him, "Are you sure these will work as a HCT?" Yeah, it's an equivalent. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And I don't think it will. I suspect if I swapped that HCT now for one of these, I'm not going to do that because these have been, I think these might have been off once already on this board. It may then do the same as the other board where it only waits 6 seconds before it gives up looking for the IDE and then, presents the sticky disk in screen. I mean, that's just a theory. I could be wrong because I can't see how else could, this board here, how else could this be only waiting 6 seconds before giving up? And this is the one that we had the IDE problem on. Now, the next issue with that, the next point is, I think, and the reason why I think I'm on the right tracks here with this HCT BCT thing is I think there's a temperature relation. Now, not in the sense that one of those chips on the board are faulty, but I think, and I've seen this before, I've seen it on the MVS boards and carts and a few different places actually, where even the Famicom, when I had that adapter, when I was messing around with that adapter there, and I ended up with copper tape to fix an issue. And I think the ambient temperature in here the other day was so warm in here at the point when we came to test it. I think the impedance was somewhere that was different, and coupled with the fact that the output levels on this, in fact it's inputs really because it's trying to read, isn't it? Those are input levels, but the pins on this the side that goes to the thing here, I think that change in impedance was tricking it to, it's almost like, we already know that this board here is only waiting 6 seconds. Yeah, so therefore, and I think these are the issue, that's not right. Well, if you've got impedance change there as well, because it's super, super hot, it might not even be waiting 6 seconds. It might be like, anyway, I could be talking rubbish, I'm waffling it. We'll find out when the other chips arrive, but I can't see any of the reason why. I can't see any of the reason why at all. That's got to be the issue. So we'll see what happens when that terminator arrives, because and the chips, we'll swap all 4 chips over. And I'm hoping that both boards then do wait approximately 30 seconds, and then I'm hoping that if I stick the terminator on, that should work as well. Anyway, without further ado, I'll start doing the battery mods of this. Isn't military grade where they have 54 instead of 74? Yeah, there are some of those, I think. Retro Game of Valve, you're right, my mind jumped to conclusion for some reason. Adam Summer, hi Adam, hi everybody. Right, so the soldering iron is warmed up. Let's just flip this board over. The first thing I'm going to do is just work out where and the resistor is, and remove the resistor. So if I just look at the other board, it'll just save me some time. Because what I did, the way I did this is just look at the schematics, and I looked at the resistor that feeds the battery. So it's R179 by the looks of things. So it's somewhere down here, it's that one there. Yeah, oops, right, I'll show you. It's, yeah, you can see the silk screen mark in there, 179. So that's that resistor there. It's, let's see what size, oh, sorry, camera's going. Let's just see what size it is. Sorry, yeah, expect the odd camera fall. I was hoping the post was going to come today, but then I realised after I've been waiting for about 2 hours for it that it's Good Friday, isn't it? It's Easter weekend. It's easy to lose track of days and things. I didn't even know it was Friday today, if I'm honest. Right, let's measure that resistor, see what size it is. Yeah, 750 ohms. So let's just remove that. I'll have a little bit of solder. I'll try and zoom you a little bit if I can. Hang on a minute. I'm not careful. I'm going to end up stabbing the camera with the iron. Yeah, I've just moved you over here. Let me just try and focus this there. So where's the little lighter? It's down there, isn't it? So I'll add a little bit of solder to each side of that. Hot air obviously is the easiest way to get something like that off. But well, I think if I try and eat both sides of this and wobble a little bit, you can see it bobbing around now. It's trying to come off. There you go. It's on the resistor, on the iron tip. Just wipe it off onto the mat there. So that's that gone. Let's just get a little bit of braid onto the job here. that's one side done. And again on that side. Let's just give that another pass. There's a little bit of solder on there. It doesn't matter too much, to be fair. So then I got one of these. Is it 1 in 4? No, it's not. It's a 1 in 5, 7 something. I forget. I'll stick it down in the description later. It's a little Schottky diode here. It's got like 0.15 volts switching voltage there. And all I'm going to do is, sorry, I'm super close, aren't I? Is trim the pins down very, very, very short. So it's almost like SMD in its profile, if you see what I mean. It's got like very little sticking out on either end. You can see how short I've left that there. It's just a very little amount. Because I found that this is more or less the right size to have it, you know, to fit it there. You can squeeze it into that gap. And it's just nice and tidy, I guess. There probably is an SMD version of the exact same component or something very similar. So I'm just looking on the other board. The band wants to go away from the edge. So I've previously worked that out again by looking at the schematics. So if we get that down, yeah, you can just about see that it fits reasonably well into that gap. It could be a bit shorter, you know, it's pretty close. What's that in the middle there? There's something sticky or something interfering with it. It's not going to sit in the right place, is it? Oh. Let me see if we've got another screwdriver I could just use to move that, something with a bit of a bigger tip on it. Oh, stuck to the thing there. Probably the easiest way to do this is just get it approximately the right place, and I could just move it under heat. Otherwise I'm just going to be at it all day, faffing with a little thing. Come on, you little blighter. Oh. It just keeps going one way or the other. Anyway, let's add a little bit of solder. Try not to knock the camera while I'm doing this. Yeah, let me just... God, I don't know how to find some really difficult things to try and show on live streams, do I? I lifted it up now, look. Let's just get the solder on that pad. I'm sure it'll go on a lot easier when that pad's got a big lump of solder on it. Helps if I have the tip the right way around. There we go. Right, let's try. Sorry, I know you can't see because I'm a blooming hand. Yeah, there we go. So you can see I've got it on one side there. And then I can just reflow these now. Just this side, get some solder on this side. You need slightly more solder than you perhaps would do if it was a genuine SMD component, because obviously the legs are floating upwards a little bit. But I think you can see there that we can achieve it though. Mount that. Yeah, there we go. So we've got a little bead of solder on each side. It's not perfect, but that's exactly what we need. Oh, Dennis, thank you very much. You need to invest in some tweezers, mate. I've got some. I showed, I think it was one of the first streams I did where I showed that box from things from Alison Chalice. I've got some, but yeah, I'm a bit old school in the sense that I don't mind getting my fingers burnt. If my fingers aren't burnt at the end of a session, it's not been a good solder session. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, I feel like I've had a good day's workout, you know, when I've got burns and scars from my endeavours of the day. Does that make sense? But yes, tweezers are the best thing to use with something like that. Makes it far easier. So I'll just clean that up a little bit. I may do a tiny little bit of cleanup work on this board as well within this stream, just a little bit, show you the odd like bit of corrosion patching up. Yeah, you can see this looks a bit of a mess here. Yeah, you weren't supposed to see that. That's a secret. That's part of one of the other videos. So that's that part done. Where's the battery contacts now? They're here, aren't they? So let's just unblock those as well. And hopefully Mr. Solder Sucker, yeah, he's going to play ball today. You can hear he's eager to fire away there. Look, I spent, I kid you not, about half an hour, maybe a bit longer, cleaning it out thoroughly. I had every piece, and I got the toothbrush onto it, IPA onto it, wire brush onto it, and yeah, I went to town. So it should be behaving. The only thing this thing does do when it's perfect, this solder sucker, is, as you heard there, sometimes it fires on its own, just because it's so blooming warm. If you're a little bit too quick with it, it can just fire after you've sort of reset it. Some corrosion there, that is not melting. I'm just checking, I'm not trying to melt plastic post ammo, no I'm not. That one there is plastic, next to it. There you go, it's starting to move now. Right, let me just get rid of that solder because I don't want that to go up there. We'll just have a little bit on there and try and unblock that. Yeah, you can see that worked really well there. It's not pulled the thing out yet. Now it has. It's come off on the tip of the iron there, actually, that. So that's that one. Let's just do these ones. Yeah, it's not quite pulled it out. The other thing I thought we could do after this is just quickly composite mod that spectrum as well. Let me zoom you out a little bit. Oh, hang on. Hi Electron Ash, nice to see you. Tweezers for the week. This is Varta. Yeah, so let me just see if these are ready to come off. Just try. There you go. Pushed it off. You find which edge it snapped onto. As long as you remove the solder, it'll fall off. There's nothing on that side now. Let's just flip it back over and inspect this side. Yeah, you see there's still a contact there. That one looks free. You can just stick something in those just to test them. But here we've got something still hanging on. Let's get the fine nose pliers here. Just give it a bit of a wobble. There you go, it's come out. You can see the pen there. So we'll just we'll clean up with the fiberglass pen on this side here. This damage here, as I say, was nothing to do with me. It was like that before Stephen got it. Whoever's looked at it in the past has had the unfortunate event happen there of all the pads coming off when the chip was removed, or it fell off, one of the two, because the corrosion was that bad. So I mean, there may be nothing really left on this side here with these battery contacts, but we may as well clean them up anyway. That one's quite hard because it's right in that corner there. Yeah, so I can't wait for those HCT 245s to arrive. Because, I mean, after we do this today, there's very little then. I think we're in a good position. We did also have a problem yesterday, which I didn't point out, and the day before, that drove me a bit nuts a little bit. Coming back to this board here, the, you know, the, where's it gone now? Yeah, a whole board. What happened with that one just after the stream? The hard disk wasn't working, so I booted assist tests on floppy, and I noticed that up wasn't working on the mouse as well. And I'm like, oh my god, not only have we got a hard disk problem just materialised on this one, now the mouse is playing up as well. So I inspected the 166s and I found a loose connection and I soldered that, it worked again. I thought, oh, that must have been what it was. And then yesterday I retested that and the same thing happened again. I thought, well, it can't be that connection I looked at yesterday. And in retrospect, the connection I'd soldered the previous day wasn't the up or down directions, and for the up and down to not be working on the mouse, you know, the up not working but down was, it had to be either the up or the down connection that was missing. So I just simply looked at the PCB Explorer and found where up and down went, and it was like, I can show you on this chip here, it was like the second from right here, so not that first one, it was that one, and then this one and the next one. And those two pins, whilst they looked okay, I thought it must be a bad connection, because I think I'd left that original chip on that other board, I hadn't swapped it. So I just reflowed each of those two pins with a flux, and it worked instantly after having done that. So yeah, it was just something else that I needed to do. But this is the thing why you need to, you know, test everything, test thoroughly, and test, as we found the other day, testing hot and cold cycles. You know, now the weather's a bit warmer, now we're getting some weird behaviour with those BCT 245s. And I'm sure that's what it is. Right, anyway, that's that. So, battery thing. Now, one of the challenges with these is because of the SIM thing here and this capacitor, you're limited as to how you can mount this. So, just looking at the other one, this contact here, which is the positive side, I think, because the battery, yeah, the battery goes in into it like that, and you can see the positives on the top, which is on and the sides, the top and the side, I think. Yeah, it is. So that's the negative, the big spring in the middle. So the positive's here. So you need to put it like that. Well, if you try and get this leg here through that hole, the SIM slot can get in the way. And if you go too far over, you knock into this capacitor here. So what I've been doing is just literally shaving a little bit off the plastic here. And then we need a wire. Now I've got some wire links somewhere. I think they're up here. Yeah, the bits that I've cut off resistors. Let me find it. Where's it gone? I'm sure it was up there a minute ago. Do you know, I don't know what I've done with it now. Oh, there they are. Yeah, some offcuts from resistor legs. We'll just solder onto the negative side here, first of all. Flatten it down, solder that on. And then we can have it sort of sat like that, so it comes out at night. You know, it comes out a bit further instead of you know, just extending it across so that it'll sit like that there. And you just literally have to just touch this side here with a file or the iron or something, just so that that corner there doesn't interfere. I mean, in theory, you could do the same thing on there. You could shave that down a bit, but I'd rather shave that. These really need replacing, but you know what? They're totally functional. I mean, you can see here when whoever did that removal of that, they've touch these here and it's a bit of a mess, but other than being a bit dirty, these 4 slots are fine. There's no issues there whatsoever. The reason I'm not just being lazy here, because I could spend some time taking these off, but I kid you not, the place I've looked online for these slots, and the cheapest I can find is like roughly £10 each. You might be able to get them for 8 if you're lucky. So that's like, it's 5 of them, so it's like almost 50 quid to replace those sockets. Now if they work, as these do perfectly, not a single issue in terms of reliability, I may as well just leave them there. That's my view. I mean, it could come back to bite me in years to come, because until you get these off, you can't really clean under here thoroughly, but you can with a toothbrush, and it's been pretty thoroughly clean there. So anyway, let's get the contact onto that first. Let's deal with that one. Hope it doesn't break off when I bend it over. That's the only problem. Yeah, I'm not sure you can see what I'm doing. Ow. That's where pliers are useful. Ow. Right, let's think about this. So I could do with my helping hands here actually. Yeah, hold it so kind of like that. Expect burnt fingers. Ow, 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 ow. Right. Let's try and bend that over. Now there's nothing here for that to short on when it's flattened down. So yeah, it should be okay, I think. So it's just a question of whether we accidentally break it off now, because this metal on these tabs is really weird. I'm bending it the right way, aren't I? Yeah, I am. Just bending it as flat as possible. It's going to stick up a little bit. You know, I could always just reheat that to make it a bit flatter. Yeah, but you can see what I'm trying to achieve. All we need to do now is bend it down by the right amount so that it goes in exactly the right position over there. So I need to try and eye this up now. Yeah, it doesn't need to bend very far actually. We're not far off where it needs to be. It just needs like a little bend. Let's try that. Yeah, you can see that's bent out a bit there at an angle, but I just want to just get it approximately right. So there's other cleaner ways of doing something like this. You could have a battery holder that's a bit like I did on those Archimedes, where it's relocated. I could fit one here, you know, with wires coming off it on it, but I'd rather try and stick it in this area if I can. That's not going to go in there, is it? There we are. Yeah, so the only issue now is it's snagging in this corner. That is going to be in the right position, so let's just catch up with the chat. Solder your fingers, good idea. Welcome to the carpet where we don't like tweezers. Yeah. I do use tweezers from time to time. It really does depend on what I'm doing really, and whether I can be bothered getting tweezers out. By the time I come to do some of those Archimedes boards, some more of them, I might do one of those, start one of those tomorrow. It's going to be a boring stream, but I'll do it anyway. Whereas like taking stuff off and sticking stuff back on, there's going to be that much of that kind of thing where, you know, I'm not going to want to burn my fingers every 2 minutes. This is probably the only time today I might burn my fingers. So yeah, I would get the tweezers onto that. It's going to be essential, I think, for some of the work I end up doing, because there's going to be so many small components to mount back on. So let me just work out how I'm going to file this now. I'll just use this knife here, actually. I might not need to cut it, I don't know. I barely had to touch that other one. It really does depend on where you get the wires in exactly the right position. Yeah, it's just this bit here. Yeah, sorry, you can't see what I'm doing here. Let's just pull it off. I can show you in a minute what I've had to do. Yeah, try not to cut my hands at the same time as doing it. Just bend my little wire now. Look, let's do that through there again. It's almost there. Ashens uses his couch. Right, hang on a sec. I'm finding I'm making a mess of the bending of the leg now. It's getting more bent the more I do this. Let's put that through there again. It's quite hard to see where I'm, there you go. Yeah, we're almost there, I think. Maybe we are there. Yeah, I think we're there, actually. Let's just pull it out. You can see all I've done is use the knife there to shave off a little bit where it's just touching on this corner here. It's subtle. You've only got to shave anything off at like 0.5 millimetre. It really is that subtle. But I think that should be okay. So, let's flip it over. Yeah, I like to shave a bit more off, actually. Just bear with me. Because I can see the reason it's not going totally flat is because it just needs a little bit more shaved off on the upper part of that to the same sort of level. Shouldn't have these, you might see this knife like this extended a fair bit. These obviously break off the detachable bits, so you shouldn't really use a knife like that, but sometimes I will use it that way very carefully just to get, and be careful not to cut myself here on live stream, just to get a longer, wider surface area. And it's never broken on me, but you know, that's not the way you use these knives, is the basic point I'm trying to get across. Again, you could achieve the same thing with a file. It'd be a bit safer using a file. Or a, what's the word, you could even touch it with solder iron. Yeah, so it is a bit of a blue pizza fudge fix, this. Okay, that's gone in nicely now, I think. Is it? Could do with a little bit more. So, how are you guys doing? Nobody has had COVID yet, have they? You might want to watch that video from Lactobacillus Prime, Mark. He lives in the Netherlands, doesn't he? He's just had it. So, I mean, if you've got anxiety or concerns about it, watch his video. It might just help you out. There we go. Let's try that. Yeah, that's better. Right, flip it over. So, I mean, it is protruding a little bit. I'm not sure on the other one. Yeah, on the other one it's kind of... yeah, I don't know how. On the other one I managed to get it right into the corner there. Let me just have a look. Yeah, I mean, technically, the other thing you could do is bend this pin here. Let me think. Yeah, you could bend this pin here slightly that way, and then outwards. Yeah, like that. Can you see it's like a little L? So it's pointing over a little further. It obviously shortens the length of it, but there's enough length, you know, enough space there to accommodate that. Yeah, there we go. That's going to fit much better now. So if I just push that on and over. Yeah, you can see that's fitting nicely into that gap there. That's just solder points here. Now it's important where you've joined it on that one there, don't heat that for too long. Sorry, you can't see what I'm doing. The point where we've got that wire on to move it over, don't heat it for too long or it might come detached and you might have to just take it off and redo it. But this one here, yeah, let's give it long enough. It's a bit big, that point. That'll do. So let's just trim that right down. So I'll clean those contacts up in a minute. Let's just flip it over and measure it. Yeah, so you can see that's all right. That's okay. So I'm on continuity test. Let's test the ground. So I think the ground should be the middle contact. Yeah. And this one here will go through that diode. We might get a diode reading to there. Hang on. We're getting the right way around. I'm sure it's that pin there, is it? You can test that from the other side. It's this side here, isn't it? Yeah, this connection here should go. Let me think which way now. I'm not getting a join there. Should be getting a join, I'm sure. Should be to that side. Huh? What is going on here? That's got me a bit stumped. Let's just think about this. Oh, does it go through another diode? There's two diodes there, I think, vaguely remember. Let's just stick a battery in it and see what we measure on the chip. If we see 3 volts there, we know we're all right. It could be that there's a trace damage around there somewhere that I'm not thinking about. Like, maybe it's cut off from this one here. In fact, we can test that. Let's just make sure these two are joined. Oh, they're not, are they? Yeah, so there's a trace on this side here that goes between that side and that side, and it's obviously broken. So I think that's why we're not getting a join on the positive. We can fix that quite easily on the other side, can't we? We just need a small piece of Kino. We just need a piece of, where's it gone now? Yeah, hang on, I can't see it. Oh, there. Yeah, a piece of Kino between those two there, that'll fix that. That didn't happen on the other board. So yeah, that's caught me by surprise. I guess it shows the benefit of doing what I've just done, measuring, to make sure things are joined up correctly. Where's my solder gone? I lost it. Yeah, so it's that one there. Let's just add a bit of solder on there. Cut the excess off that length of that wire. I mean, strictly speaking, I could have just fixed this on the top side. If I'd inspected the top side before I came to fit this, it would have been a bit tidier maybe. We can clean all this stuff up in a minute with IPA and cotton buds. Sorry, I realised I'm totally blocking it with my hands. Let's just bend it up a little bit if we can. It's a little bit longer than I would have liked that wire. It's going to have to have a slight bend in it, I think. Yeah, there we go. So let's flip that back over again. And let's try and measure it again. So, ground, that's the ground, that's the positive. Is that the positive? Yeah, that's the positive. Let's see that. Wants to go. Am I imagining things and getting the pin and the chip the whole way around? Oh, I'm a bit perplexed by that. Let's just get the battery in it. Maybe the... No, hang on, we know the clock works on that, so the VCC pin's not missing on it. One of these boards, I think it might be this one, had a diode across here though as well, so maybe there is part of the circuit missing here as things stand. Let's just see. Put on volts DC, it'll zoom you out a little bit. Yeah, you're not going to be able to see it because of the blooming angle of the thing. Let's try and support it like that. Let's measure from here to here. No, that I'm sure it's that pin there. I'm starting to wonder if I removed the wrong resistor or something. Now, in fact, if the resistor was there, if we'd picked the wrong component, we would see that now. We'd see a voltage there. So, yeah, looking at the other one, it's definitely right. The band definitely goes upwards. Must be some corrosion or something somewhere there that I've missed. Just catching up the chat, guys. Chris is not Liz Rosman. Yeah, that's true. Andrew Clegg, hi Chris, late again, hi, nice to see you. Ted Van Matt J. I've got to think, Ted, actually. It was Ted that mentioned the Terminator there, the IDE Terminator, and that was what got me thinking about the chips that were in that area of the board, and whether that was something to do with it. So yeah, thanks for that, Ted. Right, let's see if we can follow this now. So this comes down to here, I think. Yeah, that's going through to that wire. Let's have a measure on the other one. This is where having two boards is useful. Yeah, so from that side there, I'm really confused by this now. How is that? How is it that one's not doing anything? Let me just flip this one around. Let's measure the voltage on this one. I've got to be careful, I'm going to be using one board to scratch the other one. Voltage is what we want. Sure it's that pin there? Yeah, it is. You can't see it. I'm getting 2.64 volts. That battery's a little bit flat on this board. It's battery scratched to earth, isn't it? You can see it's scratched all over the place on that. But we are getting on that one 2.6 volts there. So in terms of that diode, there should be connectivity there. Let's just try that again. It goes. Oh, it goes through a resistor, I think. No, it doesn't. There we go. We've got a direct short there. So, on the other board, it's not making a connection to that pin for whatever reason. Let's see if we can see why. Yeah, it should be coming from here to there. Oh, it is. What? Oh, I don't know what's going on here now. Watch this now. Measure the voltage and find it's all right. I really do not know what's going on. Listen, I've just squished a faulty wire or something that's... No, look, there's no voltage there, so what is going on? Got 3 volts on the battery. It's not come off. No, it hasn't come off. Yeah, it was not going to the diode, was it? That's the issue. Let's just think things through logically. There's two sides to that diode. One side connects to the chip. We've just proven that was there. Let's do that again. So it's that pin there to, try not to obscure it, to there. So that's okay. So the chip has got the feed from there. It's the positive side. Was that the positive side? Which one of those is a positive side? Yes, that one, isn't it? So from the positive side of the battery, he's not making it there, look. It's going to be that corrosion again that was on the top side. Not only was it separating the traces from each other, I don't see a wire or anything there. What's that little pad? Let's just test from that. No, it's not that. So, we could just add a wire from here to there. I might just get rid of that now, because we don't need it, and just have a wire from there to there. That's probably the easiest thing. Yeah, that's far easier, isn't it? Oh, it's twists and turns with this board. But in fairness, if I'd examined the top of it a bit better, we'd have perhaps seen that damage. I was just assuming it was going to be okay, and it was just going to be a bit of corrosion or something. You know, a bit of cosmetic corrosion rather than actually eating through anything there. That's a fatal mistake though, just to assume. Yeah, there we go. There's my camera gone. Oh, hello, where are you? Spider-Man Gavin put greetings. Hi, nice to see you. So let's try again. While I'm doing this, I'm just thinking, are there any consequences of me doing this? I don't think so. Because we know that chip's already got, it's got its VCC, that's coming from somewhere else, and we know that works. It is just the connection from the battery. And the only thing we're bothered about is that diode is what feeds it. So I think we should be okay. So we'll start with this side again. Let's do a tiny bit more. Oh, touch that blue thing next to it. Look, tiny bit of solder there. Yeah, that's that. Let me just clean that thing up now. Is that alright? It's a bit lumpy there. Let me just add a bit of flux onto that. We're going to clean this area with cotton buds and stuff in a minute anyway. This is another one of those that should be about 10 minutes, and how long have we been going so far? Half an hour? Yeah, there we go. Yeah, they don't look too bad. Right, let's trim that down and attach it over here. With this kind of stuff, if you try and get right onto the side of it, you know, the exposed little bit, it melts back just a little bit. Can't see what I'm doing here. It's perhaps not the cleanest way of doing it. It's the same thing I've seen other people do though. Trying to think, what's his name now, that American guy? Voltar, he does that, doesn't he? When he's doing some of his super tidy mods there. I'll tell you what, he's got incredible dexterity to do some of the things he does with PlayStations and stuff. I mean, if you've got good magnification, there's no reason why you can't get equally as clean results. But yeah, it takes experience and practice to do them as clean as he does, for sure. Right, let's flip that over. Let's try that again. Take 2. So bring the meter in. So if we measure, oh, got a nice reflection there now. Nice glare. Flash off it, reflection. Right, where's the thing on ground? So if we measure from there to there, 3.29, and there to there, there you go, 3 volts. You see that? So that should work now, I think. The other thing you might want to check is obviously make sure that, well, we know we've got the diode there, the diode's the right way around, but if you weren't careful, you could feed the VCC voltage that comes in here. It's probably something like 4.5 volts or something, or a bit less than that, because it probably goes through a diode on here. There's an SMD diode there. That's probably the way it's normally powered. So if you're not careful and you've not got that diode there, you may find that when you power it on, you measure here, you measure 5 volts across there. You know, that's the whole idea of that diode. So do make sure you've got that diode the right way around, but I'm sure we have. So that just needs cleaning up now, and then we can test that, and then perhaps do the composite mod. The other thing I was going to do, might just try and do it now, is just remove that blooming thing there, because I might not refit it, or not really refit it. That's going to go in the bin. They're all green and horrible, the pins and that. But I might not fit a replacement because no one's ever going to use it. It was kind of like it's an unused feature on these boards. I think the time it may have come into use, I'm a bit corroded those. The time it may have been used is when they went onto the AAA chipset that never came out, because that's what it seems to be intended for. It could be for some factory testing or something. I don't think so. I don't know. Because if those options are set incorrect, actually, it complains it's got the wrong version of Lisa and the wrong version of Alice and all that sort of stuff. So it would, to me, I think it would have been used for configuration of future chips. I think maybe Commodore planned to put a different Alice and a different Lisa, maybe. Yeah, I'm making a mess there, but I'm not bothered. I'm just trying to get it to flow because of the corrosion, not flowing very well. We'll see if we can get it off with a solder sucker. Get a giant blob of solder in the middle there. Look, now where's my solder sucker gone? Let's try and remove these now. And I might be better with the. Sorry, I'm going to block it with my hand here. Sorry, it's unavoidable. Yeah, I might. You can see all the solder shut off those pins there really easily. Might be better off with the solder station. We'll just see. There was another correction I was going to add as well. It was thanks to, I think his name is Zoomy X Fireball or something, one of my viewers. He posted a comment on one of the previous videos as well. I was looking at that serial port, and he made the point actually that the 1488 and 1489 aren't the current type line drivers. So my points in that video were totally irrelevant to the 1488 and 1489. The voltage, and it's something I'm sure I should be aware of, because it uses plus minus 12 volts, doesn't it? That's something that I forgot totally to mention in that video, but I have mentioned on previous videos in relation to 1488 and 1489s. So you've got, you know, a positive and negative, a really large positive and negative swing. So they've gone for the voltage, you know, with RS232, they've gone for the voltage type of transmission rather than using current changes to represent the data state changes. So yeah, that was a mistake, but the theory in general behind those line drivers, yeah, I think it is sound for ones, you know, line drivers out there that use the current type, probably more industrial equipment and stuff, maybe going over longer distances. Yeah, sorry I'm blocking it. It's kind of unavoidable. It's trying just to zoom through these now. That one's not melting. Yeah, there we go. The solder pump's doing a really good job now. If only it had been working this well the other day. Need a bit more solder on that. We can see it's coming off, but not all of it. I'm still not convinced. I've got that many bits of solder here, it's not helping. Might need to go a bit higher temperature there actually. Let's just see what that's looking like. Just see if any of these are free. Yeah, one or two are. In fact, most of them are actually. Let's just catch up with chat. Gadget, are you Carl Pilkington? Nah, I wish I was. He's a funny guy, isn't he? Oh, Big Trees, another donation. Thank you, Big Trees. Much appreciated. Anyone know the place to get Circuit Works products? Is Farnell the only place? Yeah, I would suggest probably Farnell, if that's the only place you've seen them in the UK. A lot of the time it seems to be, I think it's because it's an American company, they're hard to get over here, and the import fees. If you look at eBay prices, they're ridiculous, the Circuit Works products. Let's see if I can just wobble that a little bit. Yeah, I can see which ones are moving, which ones aren't, I think. That bottom one there's not free, is it? The other thing you can do sometimes is just get rid of all the solder and just touch the point where you think it's not free as you wobble it. And if you keep wobbling it, yeah, there you go, it stays detached. It's a really weird technique, but you'd be surprised, it works really well. Provided you've got, let's say, 99% of the solder off. Let's just try that one again. We don't lose the pads here. Yeah, I think they're all free now, actually. Oh, on the wire there. Yeah, can you see that? This is the bit I don't like. I don't really know whether the pads have detached because of the corrosion or me wobbling it. So it's like, well, how easy is it going to come off? I don't know, it's anybody's guess. Just trying to lever it just a little bit. Try and massage it off, look. That side's coming up, the left hand side's coming up far easier than the right hand side. It's kind of there, it's just like, I think it's the thickness of the solder and the pins. Oh, are we going to lose any pads here? I think we don't. Let's just have a look. Try to inspect it with magnification, guys, up close. Hang on. I can't honestly see. I think it is just coming off. I think there's no damage there, but I don't know, famous last words, isn't it? Yeah, there's nothing joined to it. Yeah. I'm not sure that's going to focus there. Yeah, they're a bit greeny. I could have just cleaned them up and left them, but I'd rather just get it off and clean that up. We can always put a new one on later. I've got lots of those pin headers there. So we'll clean it with a little bit of IPA first, then I'll get the fiberglass brush onto it. Yeah, I think those are alright actually. It's deceptive, it can look really scary when you remove one of those. I'll zoom you a little bit. Yeah, it can look like it's, you know, you pull all the pads and it's horrendous, and it actually isn't. You'd know about it if you'd pulled the pads because you'd be able to see them on the legs of the things you've removed. And it's the same with the through hole. We didn't lose the through hole or the pads there despite the corrosion around that area. Hopefully you can see that that's looking not bad. By the time I've gone over that a few times and wiped it over, it will be fine. Yeah, coming back nice and grey, metalish there, silverish. So let's give that a wipe with vinegar, and then I'll wipe it with IPA. Started using vinegar, as I mentioned a number of times, because it eats the surface a little bit, even ignoring the alkaline that's there, because this is all being super cleaned, with vinegar already. But once you've scratched a little bit, if you wipe it with the vinegar, it just kind of etches that metal a little bit. It just makes it really nice and clean, and it makes it much easier to solder onto. Paint toothbrush. Hang on a minute. I need to find a way to detach the chart. Oh, I can pop out chart. Let me just try that. Just bear with me a sec, guys. I'm just trying to pop out the chart. Ah, that's much better. Hang on, it's catching up. In fact, yeah, it is. There we go. It just means I can have more chat on screen. I can actually show you that in a minute. Switch to live chat because I might have been missing messages. As I say in every stream, if you directly message me with @GadgetUK164 first of all in the message, it'll highlight it in yellow. So if you do have something important, you spot something I need to know, or you've got a question or something you absolutely want me to, get my attention, just do that. And don't all start doing that, because that'll get really annoying, won't it? If every single message is directly to me, then I'll not be able to keep up. But anyway, you can see that's looking alright, isn't it? It's not bad. Not bad at all. So, should we go and try that? See if that's working, and then we'll move on to the Spectrum. Yeah, go on then, let's give that a go. Gadget has one of the longest YouTube usernames, lol. Yeah. Hang on, zoom you out. Let's grab the board. Now the camera's fully charged, so we're going to be on battery while we're over there. So I'll try not to be over there for very long. Put the board down. Zoom out a little bit further. Just to connect everything up. Power first of all. Let's touch the power supply. Audio. And let me think. Systest. Yeah, Systest. Oh, hang on. It's easier if I boot from floppy. I was going to say Systest is on that hard disk, but I can't remember where it is. It's in some hidden cryptic folder somewhere, like games or something, somewhere you wouldn't expect to find it. It would take me too long to find the darn thing off the hard disk. So I'll boot from floppy. Connect that there, rest that there, pull it over, make sure nothing's shorting. Mouse. And yeah, just a quick sanity check. Yeah, everything looks okay. Switch it on. And I point it at the screen. Yeah, Mega Drive's still very dusty. I need to clean it. I'll do that tomorrow. Keep saying it, but I will get round to it. I think this is the one that takes the 30 seconds, isn't it? Yeah, it is. This one. Stuck a label on this one. The one's got an A on it, as you saw earlier. This one's got a 1 on it. I didn't want B, because then it looks like if I give Stephen the B board, it looks like he's getting the the duffer, doesn't it? And I didn't want it like that. I think both boards are really good, but A is an A-hole. It really is, that board. And 1 is great. There's nothing wrong with this board. Well, now it's got a battery on it, hopefully. Hang on, that's the serial. Yeah, hopefully this board is now perfect. So reset time and date, set time and date. March, April, it's the 10th, isn't it? 10th, year 2020. Friday, that's right. What time is it now? 2:31. So 14:31. Save and exit. So that's ticking away nicely. So switch it off. Leave it off for a second or two. I'll just bring the Mac over a second. Hang on. I like to leave it long enough just to make sure it is holding the time and date. Switch it back on again. Oh, thank you for that donation. Fantastic. Cresso Jim. HRK. Is that Hong Kong? Something? Where's HRK? Please let me know. HR key. Yeah, that's the first time I've seen that currency, I think. Dave Curran, B for best. Yeah, I could have done that, couldn't I? I could have had an A board and a B for best. But still, whoever got the B board would be like, oh, I'm not happy with this, I got the B board. Who's got the A board? Why has Gadget got the A board? Or vice versa. So 1 and A, I think, is probably the best route to go, A being A-hole. That board is an A-hole, seriously, it really is. I've had so much stress with it. As I said, that's the one that had the mouse problem yesterday. So not only did it have the IDE thing, it then started with a mouse as well. Battery back clock. Yay, there we go. Friday, April 10th, 1432. While we're here, I'll just disconnect that. We'll just connect the hard disk up. Now, I've got a different compact flash set up here, actually. The A-hole board destroyed the compact flash card. It was actually probably me, to be fair. It probably wasn't the actual board, because I was probing the those data bus, the D0 and D1 pins on that compact flash card underneath on the IDE connector on the underside of the board. I had the board upside down. Not sure if I bridged D0 or D1 to something just for a brief second or something. Maybe they bridged together. Maybe it was the impedance of the probe I was measuring with that did something, but it seemed to do a write instead of a read as it was booting. And then after that point, that compact flash card was doing nothing other than coming up with an error, a read error. Always at the same point, every single time on both machines. So I thought, oh no, I've messed up the compact flash. So as you'll see now, as it's booting up, you can see it flashing. As you'll see now, I've got a slightly older compact flash set up here. This is one of the ones that people used to use. Not enough memory. Oh yeah, there's no RAM on this board, ignore that. It's only got the 2 meg chip, there's nothing else there, so not enough memory to run copper, cancel. Yeah, it's got a different setup. You'll see it looks completely different there. But anyway, that has booted, that has worked, so that's both of the real-time clocks done on those. So I think we'll fly back over to the mat. We might come back to this board after, I don't know, because the composite mod on the Spectrum is not going to be particularly exciting. I'm not going to do a recap of that Spectrum just yet because I don't have the cap kit to hand. It's going to be a few days before that arrives. So I'll just carefully put this on an ESD bag there, out of the way. But we may come back to that board afterwards, so I'll just, yeah, put you down here. And wheel back over there. And I need to go find the Spectrum now. I know it is, it's over there. Right, so just bear with me a sec. So, hang on, let me just clean that mat because we've got lots of bits of solder on there, haven't we? Sometimes I'm a bit more organised in terms of how I'm, you know, where I put the solder when I remove it, and then other times, as you see, like on this stream here, I'm just like point the solder sucker somewhere and press eject, and then it just, you know, explodes the solder everywhere. Yeah, there we go. So I'll just shove that in there. Yeah, you can't see what I'm doing. I'm just at the bottom of the mat here. I'm just trying to wipe all this solder off. There's that old chip. I'll have a look at that in a sec, actually, before I forget. You know, the one that didn't work? There's 159 that didn't work. And I suspect it does work. I suspect it's just corrosion. And I think, we'll have a look. I think that the sockets are perhaps single wipe. That might be why that chip was giving us some, you know, high impedance connections there, you know, floating connections. I'll show you the chip here if we can. Let's try and get close up on it, because I don't think it came very well. It wasn't very clear on that stream the other day. So can you see these 3 pins here? My nails need cutting again. Don't worry, they'll be cut by tomorrow. Yeah, so it's these 3 pins here look super oxidized. Actually, no, I did have a go with the fiberglass pen on the stream. Oh no, I done that off, look. Yeah, but that's it didn't make a difference. It didn't make a difference. What I might just try and do is just get a bit of solder on them, actually. I mean, to be fair, I don't think there's any mileage in retesting it anyway, because it means I'm going to have to, well, yeah, I could do actually, once the keyboard's detached. I can do it fairly easily. And that was something else to point out. There were 1 or 2 people saying you didn't need to keep attaching the disconnecting the keyboard. That's right. And towards the end of the stream, I kind of worked that out, which is why I stopped reconnecting it. The only point to reconnect the keyboard up is when you know everything's all right, really. and you're ready to, you know, use the keyboard, do more extensive tests. But if you just look at the blacks, I can smell that. It's making a funny smell. Yeah, it's like corrosion. Let's just go with that with the, where's it going? Solder braid. Let's just bring in helping hands. That side there, it's just... Yeah, I'll try and move the camera in a minute just so you can see a bit better what I'm doing. No, I might be in the way. Yeah, so just by the amount of time that the screen goes black on the Spectrum, you can tell you don't need a keyboard connected to understand whether your RAM is right or not, as you've been doing different things as we did the other day. Yeah, you see that's making no difference at all. They're looking very black, those three. Yeah, I don't know whether you can see that, they just look awful. Anyway, it's only a cheap chip, isn't it? There's probably no point in me doing this. I'm just thinking that if I do manage to clean these up, it might work, and then we'll be like, okay, yeah, it was that. But the chip is okay. Some light sandpaper is something else you could use on something like that. Anyway, we'll just put the Spectrum there a sec. Let me just get a little bit of light sandpaper actually. It's not the sort of thing I hardly ever have to use on a chip, to be honest, but you know, those pins are, yeah, they are really dirty. Even after heating them, adding flux and stuff and using the braid there, they haven't really cleaned up. I need something slightly more abrasive. We're going to lose one in a minute from the amount of friction. Yeah, well, there we go. So if that, I mean, if it was a bad connection, I don't think that's going to be a bad connection now, so we can test that again after. That's not the main thing here anyway. Let's get this disconnected again. So, oh, it's already disconnected. Yeah, there we go, I left it disconnected. I couldn't get this working still. This, the Div MC Future here. Still not working on this board. Now, I looked at the different firmwares available. Depending on when you purchase one of those, there's two different revisions of firmware. Now, I realised I was using the older one initially. So I thought to myself, well, maybe I've got the newer version, maybe it's the new one. So I stuck, you know, deleted the, I think there's a bin and assist folder. I deleted those and put the ones out of the latest firmware. Just the same, exactly the same. But if I put Lothrak's Div IDE in here, it works okay. So I'm left wondering, you know, one of my thought was the M1 line, but if the M1 line was working, not working, I know for a fact that the Lothrak one would not work. So, yeah, I'm at a loss with that. I don't know whether, Dave, whether you've got any suggestions. I mean, I could try and remove the Z80, socket up, try a different Z80. Maybe this, oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, I was going to say maybe this bug mod has got something to do with it. I'm just wondering if there's a short there. That leg there doesn't look so clever, does it? But then again, how would the Lothrak one work? Yeah, it's not short and it's a bit crazy. Oh, I don't know. It's a bit of a crazy mod, that actually. Let me just measure those. Maybe that's the answer. So I'm on continuity test. Yeah, I think you can see here what I'm looking at. I'm just trying to rotate that a little bit. Can you see? It's like this leg here might be shorting across that one there, which is the middle one. No, they're not. No. Yeah, that's not the answer. But yeah, there's another mod you can do to these. Is it using a resistor and a diode, or something, or a cap and a diode? Dave might know. I know Dave knows more about that because he's got an article on his blog that I found when I was trying to research this issue. Actually, I was searching for div MMC problem, Spectrum 48K issue 2, and I found a couple of articles on Dave's blog. Really well worth checking out Dave's blog website, actually, his blog there. I'll post some links afterwards. But it's, yeah, Tine Mouth software. You can find a couple, like I say, one of them, he was testing this exact car on an issue 2, but it was an issue 2 that didn't have this transistor mod here. I'm going to try and just straighten that a little bit. There, actually. Yeah, that's all right. We'll just lift that pin there up ever so slightly. Yeah, so they're definitely not shorting. Not touching. Yeah, the one he was looking at, I think, had the other mod, the one with the diode and the cap or something, or a diode and a resistor, I forget which. So I'm not sure if that's what I need to do to this. It might be something that needs to be done to this board. Dave, see if you can read version number of firmware on boot screen to work out what version of files you need. Oh yeah, here we could try that. Just having a look back. Yeah, I see lots of chat with each other, no direct questions or anything. So anyway, let's think about what we're going to do here with the composite. I'll zoom you out a little bit because you are quite close. So the first thing we need to do is get the can off the modulator here. So I'm just going to use flat bladed, well, not a flat blade, just a screwdriver, just to prise it up. We'll prise it on each side. Yeah, nearly all these modulators were made by Aztec back in the day. Must have been a modulator company or something, I don't know. So many boards, including Saris and things, have those on. Let's move that chip over there. So, connections to the side of the modulator here, you can have like ground, video in, and VCC or something. There's going to be a couple of connections there. Let's just work out what's what. I've done these so many times and I can never remember. I can never remember which one's which here. Let's test from the can itself. That'll tell us where the ground is. It's not that one. It's not that one. So the ground must be coming through the can itself or the underside of the PCB. So it must be like video VCC. So let's just work out what the VCC is. So if we go onto one of the VCC pins of one of these 7.4 series chips here, which is, you've got pin 1 on the bottom left, and it goes this way around, so like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, blah, blah, blah. And then 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and it's the uppermost pin. That's VCC. And if we measure to that one, that's, yeah, 0.1. Let's try that. Yeah, it's not that one, it's that one. So it looks like the VCC is coming in here. That one is a bit squished there. And this must be the video connection, actually. So what we need to do is, well, ultimately disconnect the video connection from where it's going in here. And I think the best way might be outside, and I think I've done that previously when I've done these, is chop it, part way up there. Or, in fact, desolder it from the motherboard, we'll do that. Solder it from the motherboard, and then we can stick our own wire in there. And we just want to feed that wire, more or less, I think, straight to here. But you need to detach, the centre point of the connector here from that cap, or it's going to be a resistor, I think, that resistor there. So you could always revert it. Anyway, let's do that. Let's get the board out. Some of these systems, it's worth doing the little transistor mod there, the same sort of one you do on the CR2032. I've got those little boards you've seen me use in a number of videos there. It was one off a design off OSH Park, but I know Future was 8-bit sell the same sort of thing, don't they, Dave? A little 2600 composite mod board there. Use the same little board within other systems, like a +2, for example. That +2, was it an A or a B? I forget which one it was now. I had some confusion in that video, I was trying to work out whether it was an A or a B. But that video, that one it had a smashed up case, didn't it? That was one where I stuck that little composite mod in to boost the signal. And I used that same little board, the same circuit there, in the Archimedes 3010s as well, actually. So whether there's an advantage in doing that in here, I don't think there is. I think you can, the output is so high enough level out of this that you can literally just feed it straight through. And again, I'm not sure whether a cap is a good idea, or even a 75 ohm resistor to stop reflection and stuff like that. That might be something that people do on these, but I don't think I have done in the ones that I've modded myself and got in my collection. I've got one of these 48K still myself, and that's being done the same way as this, and it gives you a really nice clear display. But these are a pain in the bum as well. Coming back to Dave Curran's website there, his blog, he's got an article on I think it's the same one to do with looking at this thing here, trying to get the future was 8-bit cart working on that issue too. But in that same video, in that same blog, not video, he talks about these here, and actually you need a frequency counter if you're going to adjust a couple of these things properly. But you can sort of kind of do it by eye, and that's what I'm going to be doing here today, because I haven't got a frequency counter. It's one of the few things that I don't have. I'll look out for one at some point, perhaps something old. And that'll be a nice thing to add to the collection. And a frequency counter, by the way, is as it sounds. It counts frequencies. It really is that simple. It's like a a scope probe, more or less. You stick the probe somewhere that you want to count the frequency of, and the frequency out of there will get counted, and it shows you on the screen. It's counts frequencies. Right, so let's we've got the board over. Let's just work it out. So. Which one we said it was now. I think we said it was that one, didn't we, the video? Let's just double check that. Just to make sure that's the VCC rail. Yeah, so it's that one. Yeah, so it's that point there. We need to desolder. There's a solder pump. It's flying across the room. Yeah, and you can do it on a scope. Someone's saying there about using a scope. Use a scope, takes seconds. That's true. If you've got like a modern scope, a lot of the time they'll count frequencies. If you scope anything, it'll tell you what frequency it's at. So you don't necessarily need a dedicated frequency counter, but I do, because my hammock is pretty old and there's not got any facility or anything like that. Yeah, so the only reason I'm desoldering this is just so that it's fairly easy to revert if anybody did want to. For some crazy reason, let's say this was the only one that survived in 100 years' time. Humanity's destroyed itself. This is the only one in existence. Somebody who wants it for a museum can go, oh, I don't like that, it's been modded. Let's put the modulator back as it used to be, and they can do it if they want. I can't quite believe anybody would ever want to do that, ever. I think that it's a pointless thing. You may as well just remove the blooming thing, really. But it has its advantage leaving the can on there, because you can use that connector. That's not freed all the solder up, has it? No, it hasn't. Let's just heat and pull it. There we go, it's come out. One thing I would say about this spectrum is be very careful what temperature you use, how long you heat. I'm just looking at my temperature, it's a bit high at the moment actually, it's at 400, it should be perhaps nearest to 350. Because these spectrum boards, let's just say they're not very tolerant when it comes to temperature and desoldering. You've got to be very careful, extra careful with them. It's far easier to damage one of these than other boards of that era. Although some of the C64 boards are similar, to be fair. So that's the video signal removed. We could just remove the power. Let's do that as well, because why power the modulator? It's just going to be sat there doing nothing, isn't it? It's just something else to add to heat problems and all the rest of it. Something obvious as well, I should have really pointed out in the last video. It's always worth with spectrums checking the voltages. I mean, that wasn't really what I was looking at. It wasn't like this is how we do everything with the spectrum. In that video, I was just trying to increase the RAM, and I didn't do some of the obvious things you should do, which is to measure the voltages, certainly in relation to this RAM here, because you've got, I think, 3 different supplies going to this RAM. And if you've got any problems with the caps and the transistors and things around here, you might be missing a voltage. And if this is powered up with some missing voltages, one missing voltage, these can die. So, but anyway, yeah, it was a kind of a risk. I just went in head first, really, and went going about upgrading the RAM and stuff. I think you'll agree that board is in really good, clean condition. It's it looks like it's not had much use, this thing. Although the top of the keyboard tells a different story, actually. It's pretty dirty. So I mean, there's a few different ways you could deal with these here. I'm just going to take the cheap cut here and just put some tape over it, heat shrink. There's something else you could do, but I mean, it's just a really thin bare wire, isn't it? You need pretty thin heat shrink, so it is probably far easier just to stick a few bits of insulation tape over and around these things to stop them from shorting anywhere. So I can just literally squish that down there. It's not going anywhere. Same with that one. Ugh, what am I doing here? Making that go really squishy sort of messy, mucky mess there. Look. Anyway, it'll do. It's not really connected to anything on the inside anyway, so you could just leave them flapping in the breeze. It's not going to do anything. What I am curious to see is when we do this is how much better the video is. We're still going to have those really weird things to the side, because the picture, I don't know if you've seen it, the picture was like stretching out and there were like bands all over it. It was awful, absolutely awful. And yeah, no matter I attempted to retune it, made no difference. So I'll just move this over a little bit here. I'm just going to put you back on charge, because I realised I'm on charge since we came back. There we go. So 86%, that's good. And I'll just move that up a little bit. So what we need to do now is detach that component there and just see if anything else is connected to it. I don't think there is, I think it's just that. So I think if I add a bit of solder to it, first of all, just a little bit, and then I'm going to literally prise here. Oh, there we go, it's come off really easy. Can you see that? Here, this has just come off. Just bend that over a little bit. So, we just need to inspect to make sure it's not going down anywhere there, is it, to the board or anything? Yeah, but in theory we should be able to just solder our wire from there to here. Yeah, that one's the supply rail. Could in theory feed it out that hole. Yeah, there's a hole here, can you see that? That one's not used on the end there, only two of them are used. Something I never noticed before actually, let's try that. So let me get a piece of Commodore. Before I do that, I'm just going to inspect closely off camera there, just to see if there's anything else joined to that centre pin. Because there may well be. I find it hard to believe that it's just that resistor and then that's it. No, it looks that way. It looks that way. It looks like it is just that. Electronash, a lot of retro machines used RF modulators from Aztec. Very similar looking, yeah they did. So like I say, I've seen them on those Archimedes, I've seen them on Ataris, Ataris T's. I think that X65XC I own myself, I think that's got an Aztec modulator. It's amazing how many of those Aztec modulators there seem to be. Let's just cut that, we don't need it that long, do we? Let's just go see if I can get it through that little hole. It doesn't help that I've bent that tape there. Let's just see if it'll feed through. Or is it blocked? I might have to stick something through it. Let's just have a look at it. No, it's definitely a hole. It's a little hole. Nice of Sinclair to, well, Aztec to give us that. It's amazing. It's, hang on. There's a giant hole there. There we go. But I couldn't get the wire through it. Where's my pliers gone? I'm trying to try and grab it from the other side. I know you can't really see what I'm doing here. Yeah, there we go. Pull it through. So hopefully you can see our wire is through there, and they pulled it all the way through then. So let's just try and attach it down here now. Yeah, I can't get a better angle than that. Nope. Nearly had a better angle. The camera decided to try and just support it up a little bit like that. Yeah, so this wire here, we need to sort of somehow get it lined up with the thing here. Well, that'll do. So add a little bit of solder onto the centre connector first. There we go. And just carefully try and hold and pull that wire into position. That's it, that'll do the job. Yeah, so you can see that wire it's very thin. It's joined to the centre part of our connector here, but it's also coming through that little hole. And we can just literally feed that down there to that pad. So let's just bend these back out of the way again. I could do with unblocking that hole now, let's do that. Now there's no wire there, it might unblock a little bit easier. Which one was it now? It was the bottom one, wasn't it? There's this one here. It looks unblocked on this side, but it isn't. On the other side it's still solid. There we go, that kind of looks unblocked. Yeah, there we go, it's unblocked. So let's just trim this down. Let's try and put it underneath that tape. Just stick that there for a minute. Doesn't need to be very long, does it? Let me see if I can carefully pull a bit of this off here without breaking the damn thing. Yeah, there we go. Just need to now feed it through the hole. I honestly cannot see what I'm doing. This is one of those optical illusions where it looks unblocked and it's not. Yeah, it is. It's one of those. It's like, say, it looks from the other side, it looks totally unblocked, and this side it isn't. It isn't. Let's get a bit of braid on there. 30 seconds. C64 in retrospect had graphics and sound effects light years ahead of the competition. Yeah, it did. I think the one thing that let the C64 down in some ways was that the CPU perhaps wasn't as good as it could have been. If it had been a bit faster, because that's one of the reasons why some games on the C64, some ports, are not quite as good as they are on the Spectrum and Amstrad. But then again, the graphics and sound were just so amazing on the C64. Yeah, there's a hole there now. I can see straight through now. So let's try and feed that through again. Oh, I bent it now. It's probably around this time when I've soldered it on, I'll realise that I've connected it to the VCC rail or something. That wouldn't be a first. There we go. Just flip it over. Yeah, I can feel it sticking out there. Hang on a minute, have I just pushed it back through again? No, I haven't. Yeah, I can see it sticking out there now, it's okay. So I'll just add a bit more solder onto that. Then we'll go test it. Yeah, there we go. So just bend that down there. In fact, we can cut that off. There's a bit of tape on the end, the wire isn't actually that long. That's it. Where's the lid gone now? Over here. So I think that should be it. Should be it. Let's get it back into there. And it's at this point where I go, what have I done with the screw? That's over there. used to have one of those little tray mat sort of things that my aunt uses, and I've seen them on other channels as well. Other people, it's like a blue thing. It's got loads of little indents for some of your tools and components and things like that. They look looks quite nice. I'm guessing the ESD safe, so I'll just carefully get that screw in, and we'll go and try it. I'll just catch up with the chat before we fly over there again. See lots of chat going on there. Beeps, hi Beeps, hello Beeps. Hi Dermot, nice to see you again. Grey Mouser, Chris can't get in the hole. Mr. Workman, I paid an engineer to build me a memory cartridge for it back in the 80s. A beautiful piece of wire wrap work, and I still have it. Cool. Right, let's fly over there. Let's get power again. Do I need anything else from here? I don't think so. I mean, technically I'll perhaps need the keyboard in a minute, but right now we don't. Right now, so now I need a composite lead down. Thank goodness we don't need that thing again. Where's it gone now? Should have a composite lead already sat here somewhere. There it is. I need power. Let me just check the power supply switched on. Yep, it is. I've accidentally left that Mega Drive power supply on for the last week. Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if my power supply is dead, but let's see. I'll point you at the TV. I'll need to switch over to the composite input, because it's not automatic actually on this TV. I have to go to side, wherever that is. Now I'm connected to power supply. Good up nothing. Is that the right power supply? Let's try the other power supply. Yay, we've got composite, and it looks just as bad as it did with RF, didn't it? Now this is where perhaps I have to make adjustments to those pots. Let me just go and get a little screwdriver. So I'll probably start to try and adjust this now, and then I'll show you what I've been adjusting. You really need like a plastic handle screwdriver, certainly for the capacitors. So I'm going to do the valve resistor at the bottom first. I can't remember exactly what these do, but we'll go one way or the other. And you can see straight away that made a difference though. Let's go back, I don't know, back the other way a little bit. Yeah, it's not the right way, so I'll go the way I was going, which is clockwise. Back a little bit. I'm going to leave it somewhere there because that was pretty much near where it was originally, and we'll do the next one up. But as I say, the proper way to do this is with a frequency counter. Well, certainly two of them. You know, you can see that one going anti-clockwise is not what we want. Let's go back clockwise very slowly. Yeah, there's a sweet spot there. It's one of those when you pull the, you see, as I pull the tool away, you can see the difference straight away. I'm not going to touch the variable caps yet. We'll have a look at that in a sec to see if we need to. But let's try power cycling it and just see what it looks like. Yeah, it's not bad. You've got some ghosting. I can see on the camera there, you're seeing like a flickering thing from the refresh rate or something. I can't see that here at all. It's totally rock solid. I see a solid white picture, and I just see a little bit of ghosting, you know. And when I talk about ghosting, I'm talking about you see some like highlights on some of these things down here, you know, not really ghosting, but like, you know, the colours, what's the word, bleeding a bit, is it shimmering, there's a bit of shimmering going on. So yeah, this is the Future's 8-bit thing plugged in, and if I press the button, it doesn't do anything. The light is actually green, so I'll try it again. Yeah, see, it's doing, hang on, it's not got the card in them, is it? That'll help. Let me go and get the card, just bear with me guys. Right, so I got the SD card here. Let's just try that again. Let's get the card in. This, like I said, this has got the latest firmware, so whether it's the right one. Hang on. That's the first time I've ever seen it work. That's really weird. Well, when I say work, I mean it loaded. Oh my god, it's working now. Well, I'm super confused by that because last time I tried this, it did not work. So why it's now working, since we've done the composite mod, I don't know. That's right, that's working. That's as it should be behaving, I think. So I'll press the button again, and we got the menu. That's really odd, actually. I wonder if that, because I moved that transistor, you know, I said that it looked like it was shorting. Maybe it was. Maybe it was. Maybe that's the issue. I don't know. But I would fail to see how the Lothrak div MMC was working, or div IDE, I think it's called. And incidentally, I can see why Future Was 8-bit went with the div MMC name rather than the div IDE name. Because try and search for div IDE anything in Google, and you know what it does? It goes, you've typed the word divide. So it obviously hits every single use of the term divide in anything. So you can't, when you try and search for anything to do with the div IDE, because there's no hyphen or anything there, you just get all sorts of stuff. You never get what you're looking for. It's very, very difficult to find anything useful when you've got a problem with the div IDE. But so when it comes to div MMC, it's unique, isn't it? The name is unique. So I would say anybody out there who's got div IDE as a product, stop calling it a div IDE. Start calling it something else. Just trying to find the keyboard, just give me a sec. Right, got the keyboard, got that old chip as well, that 159 we can try in a minute. In fact, we can try that now. I'll point you down, we'll just swap that chip over, I'll switch it off first. Where's my power supply? Yeah, that's still plugged in, just grounded myself. And we'll pull out, this was the one actually, it was this position here, wasn't it? We'll just pull this out, stick that other one back in, just to see. God, that's really hot. Yeah, get heat sinks onto this, without a doubt. You might think it's a pedantic, pointless exercise sticking heat sinks on these things, but trust me, it does make a difference. You know, if it only makes that chip 5 or 10 degrees less than it should be when it's under extended use, you're doing it a favour. You really are. And these are kind of like PLAs in my mind. They fail as much, if not as more frequently than PLAs. So anything you can do to stop that happening, try and do it. So let's get that 159 in. I'll power it on, see if that's any different. Well, the interesting thing is the div IDE's now stopped booting. Weird. No, it's not. Now it's worked. Seems a bit intermittent, that. I don't know. It's very odd. That seemed to work actually. And it seems to be working in 48K mode. Maybe it's not. I don't know. I'll leave you to decide. Maybe it'll be easier to tell if I remove the confusing matters. I'll show you if I power cycle that. Yeah, maybe that's showing 16K. Let's pull the div IDE or div MMC out. Let's just see how long we get for the black screen there. Yeah, that's 16K, isn't it? So that chip is faulty. It isn't just about the legs being a bit dirty. I'm sure that's what's killed it. I'm sure that's, you know, that's part of the issue there. But it needs to go in the bin, is the point. We've tested it after cleaning it up and tinning the legs slightly there, and that is the issue. So I'll connect the other chip again. Let's just try that. Yeah, noticeably twice as long in the black screen there. I think you'll agree. Yeah. So I'll get the div MMC feature up again. Let's just see if it's working. Obviously plug the right power in. I've got 2 power connectors here, both for the same type of power supply, but hang on. See, that's not working now, is it? All I've done is plug it in. What is going on here? Let me unplug the div IDE. Just have power. Yeah, there's something not quite right with that div IDE. And I have spent some time cleaning the board connections up there as well on the back, the expansion slot. So I think we can rule that out. Alright, let's try it again. That's all right now. Yeah, I think maybe that transistor is the issue, actually. Because the one thing I did there off camera, see, before I connected this up the second time, I noticed that this was squished a little bit down here again, you know, as if like these pins were almost shorter. So I think that that might be the problem we've had with this all along, this transistor here. The two legs shorting into each other. Hang on, no, it's not booting again now. So I don't know. It's totally intermittent. It could be that this needs recapping in retrospect. What I should do really is just measure the voltages down here. Yeah, it's booted that time. Let's try a few games, just see what's going on, whether we can get any more life out of it. So I press the button. Is that going to work? Yeah. Right, I need to power off it again. Keyboard connection. Hang on. Yeah, so I've ordered a cap kit for this. I'll perhaps do that on a stream. You know, I can't imagine anybody wants to watch me recap something, but I need to do these things anyway. I can't just keep leaving things half done. This is going to need recapping, without a doubt, and it's probably what you should do before you consider using it for any kind of period of time, really. It's probably one of the first things that I would normally do on something like this, but we were just struggling to find some not here for the channel. Not got video connected now. The video lead-in. Yeah, I was just trying to find things that we could actually, look, I say that's home. Find things that we can actually look at without going to, you know, having too many things going on at once. Because like we could now just do a side step and start looking at Atari ST, but I've just got so many other things here that I need to finish off, including the A4000. Right, let's try and find something here. So it's arrow keys again, games. Oh, there's a new release folder there. Yeah, it doesn't accept long file names. This, so I don't know if you can see that. Let me try and zoom you a little bit. Point you up a little bit. Yeah, you can see that folder's called new releases, so it doesn't work with long file names. I think the Lothrak one does though, so that's one difference that I've spotted between the two here. So let's go into there. How'd you go into there? Is it at this point now we find the keyboard's not working? Is it enter? Yeah, I don't think the keyboard's working, is it? Let's just reset it. I'm just going to see from the command line whether the enter key's working. And it's not. L, O, P. Oh. Yeah, P's not working. So it looks like the keyboard has finally given up. And it could be that it's not plugged in very well, because I'll admit that when I plugged that in, it didn't feel like it went in properly. So I can try that a second time. It's not the end of the world, because I expect to be replacing the keyboard membrane on this anyway. This is so amazing that it worked so much for that last video. You know, the sheer number of times we connected and disconnected it. Quite frankly, that was unbelievable. Let's try that again. Yeah, the enter key's not working, is it? Yeah, it's like we've got a column of keys not working there. It's going to be the membrane. The other thing you get on these membranes is you get like a couple of clamps that need tightening up as well, don't you? I can perhaps show you that in a second. Because I'm just going to disconnect it again and just to inspect it, see if I can see where the issue might be. Put you down. Oh yes, it's not the same on these. On the pluses, some of them have got like clamps here. There's like some screws that you have to tighten up and make sure firmly, you know, okay. But like, that looks all right to me, actually. That looks okay. It could just be they're a bit dirty. Let's have a look at this one. Yeah, it's kind of got a couple of creases in it, can you see? So it's just a question of whether that's actually a break. Could be. I'm just going to bring magnifier over and the fiberglass pen just to see if there's anything about that, you know, we can do about that. I'm pleased the div NMC started working though. That's good. I can't explain how, because the only thing we've done, well, yeah, I think we have explained how actually. It's that transistor. It's got to be. Can't be anything else. Because I did spend quite a bit of time inspecting the connections on the back there and cleaning them up and changing the firmware. As I say, it made no difference. Everything was just the same. Yeah, you know these ribbons, they look immaculate. They look immaculate. Even with those little creases, they're not. There's no damage to it. It's not broken. Oh, hang on. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm talking rubbish. Yeah, it's hard to see, but I think the issue. Let me see if I can get it to focus. I think it's where the crease is here, on this edge connection. Is it going to focus? Let me see if I can just tap the screen to get it to focus. It's going to be hard to hold it. Yeah, it's not going to focus much more than that. But I think it's you see a couple of like cracks there in the plastic. I think one of those perhaps is causing a fracture on this end connection. It could be that. It's there. Look, it's that one. Yeah, I think that's what it is. But anyway, I'll get a new membrane. The other reason I wanted to get a new membrane for this is because, and I might get a new top thing for this as well. It's going to have to come off anyway because there's so much soil and dirt all around this. You'd want to peel this thing off. So, yeah, I mean, if you're very careful, you know, it's the first time you've disconnected these, you might get away with using them, you know, without having to replace the membrane, but it was inevitable. It was going to need a new membrane. It was just a question of when it was going to happen. I thought it would have happened in the first few minutes of playing around with it last time, to be fair. So I can't get much further than that now, I don't think, without a proper keyboard. So I'll go away and order a membrane for that. You got any questions or anything, guys, or anything that you've been shouting at me that I've missed? Using 48K basic is like seeing the end of Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Stephen Leary, terrible fire. Hello, Stephen. Hello. We fitted a battery to that one of those A4000 boards earlier on. I talked a little bit about what I think the issue with the strange behaving ID across both boards is. So hopefully when those chips arrive, it might be Tuesday now. It depends whether there's any. It might be post tomorrow. I think it might be post tomorrow. It's just bank holiday today, isn't it, in the UK? And obviously bank holiday Monday. So if they arrive tomorrow, I can do the next part of that A4000 stuff tomorrow. But it's going to take me a few days now to get membrane for this, I think. So this one's going to be Tuesday or Wednesday, probably, I would think, before we can have a look back at it again. The cap kit might have arrived by then as well, so we could perhaps do both of those things in one video. It's not particularly exciting, but it'll pass some time, and I need to do it anyway. I haven't worked out in my mind what I'm going to do with this Spectrum. I might do a giveaway of it, because I don't need another 48K Spectrum. What I do want to keep is the Plus. Andrew, you know, this came from my friend, Dr. Andrew, and he also provided 48K Plus as well. Now, the 48K Plus, I don't have one of those at the moment. I was kicking myself because I did have a number of them on my channel, about 3 or 4 of them that I fixed, and I gave one, I think, to Brian at Beeps 73. I wish I'd kept one. I regretted it. The reason I gave it away is because I thought, well, it's exactly the same. The only difference is you've got the proper plastic keys instead of the rubbery keys, and a reset button. As you'll see when we come to look at that Plus, there's just a reset button. And what you used to be able to do is get a kit to upgrade this 48K rubber keyed one to a Plus model, and you just literally took the board out, stuck it in the other one, and soldered a wire for the reset, and that's it. That's the difference between a Plus and the rubber key one. It's the keys and the reset button. Anyway, so we made some progress with that today. I hope you found that fairly interesting. Any questions or anything before I go, guys? I know it's a little bit early, but yeah, I don't know what else to cover just now. I am going to do some clean-up work. I mean, it's up to you. Let me know what you want, because I was considering just doing a bit of clean-up of some of the points on here, you know, just dragging a bit of bread around. Are you interested in seeing that? Do you want me to keep going to do some of that, or would you rather go and get on with something more interesting? Electron Ash 24-hour stream, go. Yeah, that would be really fun to do, but difficult. Maybe for a charity thing or something. That might be an idea. I don't know. A charity stream. Bardax toast rack is the most sought after model. Still lots of 48K rubbers and pluses about. Yeah, that's true. There's a lot of these on eBay for sure. And the 128K toast rack one, yeah, everybody wants it. I'm not quite sure why though. I think it's just because it's rare. Because I'll be honest, I think if I had 128K toast rack, Would I be using it all the time? Probably not. I think I'd probably be using my grey +2 because that's the one I have nostalgia for. And if I had a +3, I might be using a +3, and then everything else would never get touched probably. Despite the fact that they're not quite as compatible. Yeah, the Toast Rack is the most compatible. That's true. But again, it's like I say, it's about nostalgia for me. I think everybody's into certain systems for different reasons, aren't they? Some people want to have the system they never had, etc. That might change one or whatever. Why does it say you're live? Did I lose the signal there for a minute? I think I may have done. I'd watch a stream of you doing a cap fix. Excellent. Okay. You can clean up my +3 next. Thanks, Stephen. Yeah, I've been looking for a +3 for a while to get them for myself, so the two things might coincide. I don't know if you did send me your +3. Then what else have we got here? I have an unused blue soldering mat, which I'm happy to donate to you if you want it. Yeah, thank you. That's very good of you. Yeah, we'll sort something out on Twitter or something. Perhaps message me on Twitter, or if you just reply to any of my messages on Twitter, I'll direct message you then back. I'll follow you. If you follow me, I'll follow you, and then we can message each other. Please check, make sure solder blob is still not on the underside of Amiga where you took the socket out. Which socket? Socket? Do you mean? Hang on. You're talking about the Amiga 4000 we did today? We go back over there actually, just have a look at that. Yeah, those are the adjustment tools we're using for just in those pots, and it was just the first two, the bottom two, the variable resistors. The top two then are variable trim caps. I haven't touched those, and as I say, you really need a frequency counter when you're making those adjustments around that area anyway. Although you can probably get by with the scope as we talked about earlier. Let's just move this into shot here. When you were looking at the socket, oh, do you mean that solder put there? Is that what you mean? Sorry, let me just point you down. When he said that solder blob, and then sorry, you removed that socket. Do you mean that? That's a wire that's deliberately filled. Incidentally, we haven't cleaned that side up, have we? May as well just clean that while I see if there's any more questions and things before I get off. I envy guys who can set up live like this in the conservatory and spend hours working on projects without fear of repercussions from the wife or kids destroying everything. Yeah, that's one benefit I've got really, that we don't have kids. It would have been nice to have had kids, I think, but then again, we might half the way it's been over the last 15 years, and my wife's been in a similar sort of boat, and she likes to travel. She travels an awful lot, so it's given her the freedom. You can see here, none of this has been cleaned up. Ever since I fit the socket here, this hasn't been cleaned up, so this is something I need to do anyway, clean the solder, flux from around this area of the board here. There's lots of it around the battery terminals there, look. Yeah, so the benefit is, like I say, more time to yourself. But you know what? Kids are very rewarding. If you can get the balance just right, I'm sure it's the best situation to have kids if you can. They give you a lot of joy, and they can look after you in your old age. That's the nice thing. That's the way I see it. It's a bit practical, isn't it, thinking about it like that? Who's going to look after me now? I'm going to be screwed. Having said that, COVID would probably get me before that, so it's the least of my worries, isn't it, really? Yeah, it's not looking too bad around now. Let's go over that with a bit of a brush and some IPA. IPA, for those who've never, hang on, trying to get the screen up. Yeah, IPA, isopropyl alcohol. I have it in a big plastic bottle here. With a homemade label. You can just about see the bottom of there. Yeah, what's it sound there? I can't read it. Isopropyl alcohol. Yeah, that's my homemade container that I use it on. But if you've got kids, whatever you do, don't put it in a bottle like that. Keep that bottle securely stored away. They'll be drinking it thinking it's water. Likewise, if you've got pets and you're leaving little caps of IPA around like that where you're cleaning things, be very careful. Pets may decide to try and drink it, and if a cat or a dog drunk IPA, it wouldn't end well. Let's put it that way. I think I remembered it when at school. microbiology. We used IPA out in the wilderness to attract insects, and it works actually. If you put a cap of IPA like that out in your garden, come back the next day, you'll find flies and bugs and spiders and all sorts, and they get attracted to the smell. Quite why it makes them decide to go swimming in it, I don't know. But anyway, that's an interesting fun fact for you. That's the fun fact of this stream. So what have you guys been doing today? What are you planning on doing after this? Anything interesting? What's that there? Is that, yeah, a little bit of solder. That might be the piece of solder that someone was on about before. I'm sorry if you replied to that question a few minutes ago and let me know. I still don't know where that bit of solder is you were talking about on that socket. When you said when you removed that socket on that Amiga. The trick here is getting the hair off, because there are some hairs that come off on this brush. Yeah, this left-hand side of the board here needs a lot more cleaned up, but that's not looking, well, I say that's not looking too bad. It's looking a bit smeary, isn't it? It needs just a bit of work with a cotton bud like this to get it properly clean. And any hairs and things removing. You can find if you you know, brush for a bit afterwards with a dry brush, you can sometimes make these things look a lot cleaner. Anyway, that's not too bad now, that area around there. The main thing is we didn't lose any of those pads, did we, on either side? So I mean, I could, if Stephen wants, I could put replacement pin header on there. It depends which board he wants anyway, but I could do that on both of them. This is the one I was thinking of keeping for me, because this bit is a bit scary. It works okay, there's no problems with it, but I think I'd rather give Stephen the more robust board actually. And I think the other one is the robust board. This is the A-hole board, the A there you can see upside down. Yeah, so that's another reason I was thinking about keeping this one for myself and giving Stephen the one that I know is dead super reliable. And you can see both of these have got this metal thing back on. I don't know if you can remember, these were both really, really crusted up, you know, corroded up. So, I mean, you can see some pitting just about down there. It's a bit pitted, but actually it came out really well. I went back on there fine, no issues at all. So let's have a quick look at chat and then I'll decide whether I'm getting off or not. I'm not sure yet. Sturo, yeah, because schools are always the cleanest places. Hang on. Oh, that was electronish. Having one liver is a genetic defect. Yeah. It'd be good if we did have two livers. My wife is a teacher, and first week, new school year, she always gets ill. Germ full kids. Yeah, that's a bit of a worry, isn't it? That they're saying they're going to start letting all the kids go back to school and stuff. Are we going to go back to square one with this whole thing? I don't know, it's hard not to talk about it in the moment, isn't it? Every time I start one of these streams, I think I mustn't mention the C word in this stream. And inevitably it always just leaks in one way or another. I call them Petri dish kids, trademark, electronish. Anyone remember garbage pail kits? Do you remember those when you were at school? You used to be able to collect the little bubblegum cards, garbage pail kits, and there was like a thing on the back, wasn't there? It was like a card on the front. It was like a unique one of the different little kids on each card with some stats and things about what they did or whatever. I can't remember now. But on the back of it, it was like a piece of an image, of a larger image, so you could get all the cards and collect them all and lay them all out, you know, in the right pattern, and see a larger image for the whole of that series. They had a number of series of those. Those were dead popular when I was at school. Everybody had those garbage pail kids cards. I think they made a film, didn't they, or something? It was awful, really. The actual cards were awful as well. But Michael's Workshop, where do you source fiberglass pens from at a reasonable price? Yeah, right back at you. That's a good question. The last few fiberglass pens I bought from eBay, they've been about £2 or £3 each. I think ultimately they come from China. But have I got my pen? Well, I'm just going to get the pen. It's across the other side of the room. The more recent problem I've been having is I think someone's been homebrewing the fiberglass replacement things. So if I take this one out, I'll show you. I bought a load of these from a guy in the UK that was selling the fiberglass bits. I can't get it out now. Really cheap. Look, see, it's wedged in. I'll show you why. There's a reason for this. Oh, I'm not even sure I'm going to be able to get the blooming thing out now, actually. Yeah, the thickness of this here, and in fact I can feel it here, it's like rock hard. It's rock hard. It's like a homemade one. What I've been having to do with these when I fit them is, and I have to do it with this to get it to go down into the nozzle a bit more because it's stuck now, is this. Just slide like that, up and down it a little bit, shave a few little bits off it. That's the only way I've been able to get these to work, which is really annoying. I've lost the screw cap. Oh, there it is. Yeah, I've lost it for a minute there. Because yeah, it wouldn't fit. It wouldn't fit. In fact, it's not fitting through there now. Look, can't get it in. Anyway, that's not the way you assemble it. You stick it in here first. Look. Yeah, that's all right now. Just about. I think move it up and down. Look. Yeah, so they are quite hard to find the refills for those, and they're a bit pricey. And they're really cheaply made as well, as I've shown in previous videos. They're awful things. This one's got like 2 inches of not toilet paper, kitchen roll like this, squashed up into the plastic cavity thing inside in order that I can actually use the whole amount of pen there. It's crazy. Stick it in and out about 10 or 20 times. Yeah, Grey Mouse, that's what she said. I do like 12 volt vids, but he does like to slam VCR around a bit. Yeah, nobody's perfect, are they? Everybody's got their own thing. I make lots of mistakes and do things that probably make people's blood boil. The one thing I'll say about 12 volt vids is he does really know his stuff when it comes to some of that old kit like VCRs and DATs, you know, what's it called, DATs things, and what was that format that mini disc as well? Yeah, mini disc. You really, and you know, just old electronics in general. He's just got so much experience. He really has. But his solder could be a bit better in places, couldn't it? You know, he solders certain things, and he's not bothered. I don't think he really bothers. He's like, I'm more of a. I get really finicky about soldering. He just is more practical. You know, he's doing it from a point of view of, has it got an electrical connection? Yes, it has. That's all that's important. And you know what? That's probably the right approach. What I do is too finicky, you know, too pedantic. The stuff I do, I just try and make things look really tidy, but that's just my personal thing, really. And for me, it's a bit of AMSR. You know, when I get things looking nice and tidy and clean and as cosmetically good looking as possible, I feel like I've done a better job. But at the end of the day, it's totally irrelevant. It's absolutely irrelevant. If things are secure and got good connections, that's all that really matters. That's all that really matters. No one's, you know, these boards, no one's going to be looking at them going, oh, that's really nice, clean, tidy soldering there. You can go in a case somewhere or something and they never get to see the light of day for the next 20 years or something. So it really is not much of a big deal. Ted Van Mache, Mr. Carlson rocks, mate. Yeah, I like Mr. Carlson as well. That's a really good channel. You know what is kind of really weird when you watch it, when you look at his channel, you know, when you see the intro there of him sat in his workshop, and all those scopes they don't look like the real size. It looks like he's been shrunk down in size and had the scopes all blown up in size to make them look giant, but actually that is a real scale. He's got some huge pieces of equipment in there. But it's a funny thing, every time I look at it I think, wow, he looks like he's been shrunk down and the scopes have been exploded up in size, but they are real. It's crazy. He does a lot of stuff with valve things, doesn't he? Valve amplifiers and things, and he does like complete rebuilds, you know, swapping out all the old crusty resistors and caps and some of those like paper capacitors and I don't know, all sorts of some of those crusty old components. But he's so experienced again that it's always a joy to watch that. It's very interesting. Electronics, well, you know what they say, bigger the O-scope. Yeah, he's got a bunch of retro stuff and builds bulky stuff himself. Jay's Vintage Junk is kind of like that as well. He likes a lot of that old stuff. And again, Jay's Vintage Junk is more of a, you know, a realistic when it comes to the soldering, just doing what needs to be done to make it functional. I think I'm over the top with a lot of the stuff I sometimes do, really. I need to stop myself from doing it to a degree. Yeah, so if you're not really subscribed to those channels, Mr. Carlson's Lab, Jay's Vintage Junk, and who's the other one? 12 volt vids. Yeah, you should check them out. Anyone watch that post-apocalyptic guy? I'm not sure what you mean. I watched that. Oh, good God, what's he called? American guy. He's a chemist, isn't he? He knows he's an expert in chemistry. Mine's gone blank. And he's got a plot of land, hasn't he, where he's digging a cave. Well, he's not digging a cave. He's got a mine, an old mine, disused mine. And he's been building like a moon-type habitat there, isn't he? He's planning on living on that piece of land there. I just can't think of his name for the life of me. He's a really great guy. Cody, that's right, Cody's Lab. That's another channel you should really watch. There's some really good videos on there. You learn a lot about chemistry and physics and stuff watching that channel, but he's a little bit crazy in the sense that some of the things he does, like he's got a chainmail. He's made some chainmail armour out of copper or something, and he's like manufactured the whole thing himself, and he wears it, and it's like good exercise and stuff, and it's like you know, he's the only person I know on the planet that wears chainmail every day. So yeah, check out Cody's Lab. That's a really good channel. Right, anyway, I'm going to get off, guys, if there's no more questions or anything. I'm sorry it's not covered anything particularly interesting. I've just got to go with what I've got to go with at the moment. The next few videos, it's going to be similar as we finish things off. Like so, recap the spectrum, get membrane in there. These boards will finish cleaning up and get those HCT 245s on in place of the BCT 245s and see what happens then with the IDE. What about those Mega Drives? Yeah, I need to clean up those Mega Drives. We've also got a Mega Drive to show, and I've got a Mega CD as well, but that'll be a standalone video, so I might try and edit that either today or tomorrow, because they did say I was going to get that one up next, and then one of the Archimedes ones. NJL82, thanks for your streams, Chris. Yeah, no problems at all. Helps a lot. I wish I could do one every single day, but right in the moment, like I say, it's just difficult trying to find material, because yeah, some of the stuff I end up doing you won't want to watch. As I started this video off, I was explaining how I spent like an hour or two yesterday cleaning this up. Would anyone find that interesting? Probably not. But that was what I did yesterday. I spent ages cleaning one of these up and getting it pristine again. That's how crazy I am. Anyway, thank you very much, guys. Thanks for anything I've missed. Thanks for donations. I'll try and I always try and watch these back afterwards to see if there's anything I've missed, and I'll get in touch with anybody if that's something that I've not got back to you. Thank you very much. Take care, stay safe, and I'll try and bring another video to you soon. See you guys. Bye.